Imagine you could travel the world full-time and have the government subsidize you with almost $30,000 a year in free money for doing so. In this video, I'm going to tell you how you can live tax-free by traveling. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. In this video, I'm going to go back to basics. I'm going to talk specifically to U.S. citizens about how the IRS will, in a way, subsidize your traveling the world. I started doing this many years ago. I wanted to travel the world. I felt comfortable living in other places, and I wanted to see what was out there. There are 200 countries in the world. I didn't want to spend my entire life in just one. And what I learned very quickly as I started to travel was there were tax exemptions for people who are not physically present in the United States. Now, we have videos on the channel that speak to this for other countries' citizens, but I want to talk specifically to the US because the US has a very unique system. So what the United States has is what's called the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion. This is where if you spend 330 days out of any 365-day period physically in other countries, you can exempt the first, in 2019, $105,900 in income from your tax return, in addition to any kind of standard deduction. So $106,000 tax-free, that's indexed for inflation. So every year it goes up a little bit generally. But what does this mean to you? It means if you have a small business, it means if you're doing freelance work, if you are doing whatever kind of job that can be location independent, you can simply leave the United States. You don't need to set up a home somewhere else. You don't need to rent an apartment. You can simply go from Airbnb to Airbnb, from hotel to hotel, and you can exempt that first about $106,000 from federal income tax. In most cases, the state you live in will follow suit. In most cases, if you have a city income tax, that will follow suit. And so when you look at federal income tax rates, depending on where you live, federal plus state, you can save up to about $30,000 a year. Now, there's a caveat, and that is that depending on what kind of work you do, you may or may not want to put that work into a foreign corporation. So things get a little bit complicated, because if you want to also save Social Security and Medicare, you need to run that business through a foreign corporation. There are certain criteria that determine whether you're able to run it through a foreign corporation. But best case scenario, you're going to get about $30,000 in savings depending on which part of the US you're coming from. And so for someone who wants to travel the world as a digital nomad, who wants to explore and see what all these people on Instagram are posting about, this is a great way to do it and to get paid. Okay, so imagine you live in a part of the United States, really anywhere, that's not that cheap to live in. And you're probably paying a good amount of taxes while you're doing it. You can not only lower your cost of living, but you can lower the amount of tax you pay potentially to zero by traveling. And so it's as if the government is subsidizing your going out and seeing the world. How do you qualify? Well, in any 365-day period, you need to be in other countries for 330 of them. So unlike other countries' tax systems, where you need to have a tax home, the United States basically says your tax home is wherever you are. And so if you're constantly moving around and not getting into any other country's tax system because you're constantly a tourist, then that means that you won't pay the US and you won't pay anyone else. What that means also, though, is that you're limited to about a month in the United States. Note that the criteria is not that you're not in the United States. The criteria is that you're on foreign soil. So let's say on June 1st you leave the United States. Your 365-day period could be June 1st to May 31st of the next year. In that period, 330 of those days need to be on dry land or in the territorial waters of some country. So, if you're taking the Nomad cruise through international waters, that's not really going to help you. If you're working on a yacht, that's not really going to help you. But if you are just traveling around the world, 330 out of 365, then you're going to be able to exempt that income. There are a lot of complications. Things get difficult. Like I said, do you want a foreign corporation to reduce your tax even further? What happens if you make more than that $106,000? What happens then? There are certain strategies with offshore companies and US companies that you can put together to make sure you're not paying any tax or very little tax on income above that amount. What happens if you have a spouse? Both of you can travel, you can both work, you can get about $212,000 a year from your combined jobs. And the cool thing is that whether you're living on your own $106,000 or whether you're traveling with a spouse or a partner and you're pooling your incomes together, that money can go pretty far. What we talk about here at Nomad Capitalist is how when you free up your money from high levels of taxation, you've got a lot more money to spend. A lot of people find they can live on just the tax savings overseas, which means that all the money they used to be paying on rent, on their mortgage, on whatever you buy in the United States that's much more expensive than you'll probably find it overseas, they can put that money to work for them in a savings account. They can start to make investments and they can start to grow wealth. So traveling the world for a US citizen is a great way to actually not only enjoy your life, not only keep a lot more of your money, but it's a stepping stone to creating a lot greater wealth. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist. I wrote this book, which you can find on Amazon, to distill a lot of the stuff we talk about in these videos and a lot of the stuff I've learned over the last decade plus traveling all around the world, teaching you about how to legally reduce your taxes, build your personal freedom, and create wealth faster. Definitely get a copy of this book if you want to learn more. Now, if you want to watch more videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you click the notifications bell so you never miss one of our new videos with more tips on how to go where you're treated best. And if you're already a 6- or 7-figure entrepreneur and you'd like to put these strategies in place for yourself, go to nomadcapitalist.com and learn about how I can help you.